0, alarms cut the night. Vampires inbound. 15 drones, low, fast, bearing 120, range 45 miles, time to impact 5 minutes. Vampires is Navy code for hostile air threats. The carrier is a $15 billion target. The strike group snaps to stations. Fighters spool up. Radars lock. The clock bleeds seconds. The question is simple. Can layered defense hold? 0040. Stay with me to the end. You will learn the single choice that turned this fight. You will see how swarm math meets ship defense. You will know what worked, what failed, and why. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. It keeps these deep dives coming. Hours before the alarm, the carrier strike group moved through a narrow sea. The chart called it a choke point. Ships call it the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb. It links the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean. Tankers and cargo ships pass here every day. The water is busy, the air is crowded, the weather shifts fast, wind stacks whitecaps, radar sees more clutter, night makes it worse. It is a hard place to fight. It is still the place you must protect. The flagship is a modern U.S. carrier worth about $15 billion. It is a floating airbase. It holds thousands of sailors. It launches jets and helicopters day and night. Its flight deck is the size of a small town. It powers catapults with steam or with new electric gear. It stores fuel and ammunition for long missions. It is large, but it does not sail alone. The strike group forms a ring around it. This ring is called a CSG, a carrier strike group. It includes Aegis destroyers with strong radars. Aegis is a combat system that spots, tracks, and shoots. The destroyers are the guards with missiles. There may be a cruiser as well, adding more sensors and launch cells. A fast supply ship stays near, ready with fuel and parts. Submarines may patrol ahead, unseen. Each ship has a role. Together, they cover the carrier from air, surface, and undersea threats. Above the ships, the air wing keeps watch. E-2D aircraft orbit at altitude. They are the eyes of the fleet. Their radar sees far over the curve of the Earth. FA-18E F fighters fly combat air patrol, which sailors call CAP. They sit on racetrack patterns and wait for a call. EAA-18G growlers stand by for electronic warfare, or EW. They can jam signals. They can blind a drone's GPS or data link. MH-60R and MH-60S helicopters range near the group. They hunt threats on the surface and in the air. Every plane fits into a plan. Every minute has a schedule. The mission this night is simple on paper. Keep sea lanes open. Deter attacks. Guard shipping that carries oil, food, and goods. The rules of engagement, or ROE, are firm. Get a positive ID. Avoid civilian harm. Use the right force at the right time. Coordinate fires. De-conflict airspace. Keep a clear picture. Follow doctrine. But be ready to act fast. Swarms change the clock. They compress reaction time. Seconds matter. The threat in this theater is low, fast, and cheap. One-way attack drones are the tool of choice. They can be launched from the coast, from a truck bed, or even from small boats. They fly low to hide in sea clutter. They may use GPS. They may use inertial guidance if GPS is jammed. Some carry simple cameras. Some just ride a fixed course. A single drone is a problem. 15 drones are a math test. The goal is to saturate defenses, make the defenders shoot too much, too fast, or at the wrong tracks. Slip one hit through the shield. To beat a swarm, the group uses layers. The outer layer is long range. Fighters can intercept with missiles or guns. Ships can fire SM-2 or SM-6 missiles at distant tracks. The inner layer is last ditch. CRAM fires many small missiles quickly. CIWS, the close-in weapon system, is a rapid gun that fills the air with rounds. Soft kill tools sit across these layers. They are decoys and jammers. They make the attacker chase a ghost. The backbone of any defense is detection and tracking. Sensors must find small objects close to the water. The sea throws up returns that look like targets. Wave tops reflect radar energy. Rain makes noise on the scope. At night, visual ID is hard. That is why altitude matters. The E-2D sees above the clutter. The destroyer sees with phased arrays that update in fractions of a second. Helicopters bring infrared eyes closer to the waterline. Data links tie these sensors into a single picture. Link 16 and a system called Cooperative Engagement share tracks. This stops double counting. It stops gaps. It lets one ship shoot with another ship's eyes. The people in Combat Information Centers, or CICs, live by checklists. They assign track numbers. They rank threats. They pick shooters. They pick weapons. They call doctrine notes by memory. Shoot, look, shoot means fire one, assess, then fire again if needed. Shoot, shoot, look means fire two at once when time is short or the target is hard. They must mind the magazine. Missiles are not infinite. Reloads take time. The carrier must still launch and recover jets. Deck cycles are rigid. Timing is life. Hours before contact, the group's rhythm stays steady. CAP changes on schedule. Fuel states stay healthy. The Growlers brief likely jamming plans. The E-2D rotates crews to keep a full radar picture. Escorts set a baseline MCON, which means control of emissions. You do not want to light up the sky unless needed. You want to be ready to surge power the instant the call comes. The bridge keeps speed to keep wind over the deck. The helos cycle through short patrol boxes. Surface search radars scan for small boats. It is routine. It is tense. The region adds pressure. Merchant ships pass within a few miles. Some transmit AIS data. Some do not. Fishing craft drift and move in loose patterns. A single wrong ID could hurt innocents. A single late ID could cost a ship. The ROE demands clarity. The clock often denies it. That is why training repeats the same moves again and again. Muscle memory makes speed. Calm voices make order. This night will test that order. 15 inbound tracks squeeze the timeline to minutes. The doctrine will hold or fail on one decision. Where to fire first, when to commit fighters, how hard to jam, whether to conserve missiles or stop the raid early. The crew cannot pick the threat. They can only pick their moves. The setup is complete. The pieces are in place. The sea is dark. The watch is long. The next call will start the fight. T-minus 8 minutes. The E-2D crew hears faint pops on the scope. Low. Broken. Not birds. Not weather. Tracks blink in and out near the coast. The operator calls possible vampires, which means possible hostile air threats. He marks the first 3 and watches 2 more appear behind them. The picture is shaky. Sea clutter is heavy. The watch officer asks for cross-check from the destroyer. Aegis confirms. Multiple low-small radar returns, speed about 100 to 150 knots, likely one-way attack drones, bearing 120, range now under 60 miles. The call goes out across the net. General quarters. Every ship locks to battle stations. The carrier's bridge takes the wind. The deck team clears the pattern for launches and recoveries. No one runs, no one shouts. Voices go calm, checklists open. T-minus 5 minutes. The strike group tightens formation. The outer ring shifts to place an Aegis shooter on the main bearing. The cap gets vectors. 2 FA-18s already airborne push to the threat line. Their radar sees very little. The drones are small and down in the ground clutter. The E-2D feeds them Q lines. The Growler crew spins up their jammers. They set up to hit GPS bands and common control links. The carrier's Combat Direction Center starts target pairing. Shooter sensor links go live. Free to engage per doctrine, comes the release, which means weapons can fire once ID and geometry are solid. The crew in CIC checks for civilian traffic in the lane. A tanker shows 10 miles off the right. A fishing cluster sits left and slow. All friendly. No conflicts on the fire lanes. T-minus 4.5 minutes. The first destroyer reaches fire control quality. That means the track is solid enough to shoot. 2 long-range missiles leave the rails. They arc high to get a clean look and then dive. A second destroyer takes a bracket shot on a flanker track. The CIC calls shot out and starts a timer. The cap pilots hold a line. They do not see with eyes yet. Night is thick. The E-2D tells them bogeys low, hot, which means unknowns coming toward them. The Growler adds a wide area jam. The air goes loud in the enemy's radios. GPS signals in the cone weaken. Any drone relying on simple sat-nav starts to drift. Some switch to dead reckoning, which is an onboard guess based on speed and heading. That guess is never perfect. T-minus 3.5 minutes. 2 distant flashes on the scope. The first missiles score. The CIC calls Vampire 1 splash, Vampire 2 splash, which means both targets destroyed. But the picture is wider than those two. New tracks appear behind the first wave. 15 looks more like 18, or perhaps decoys mixed in. The E-2D warns that track quality is unstable. The destroyer updates sorting. The cap pushes lower to try for a visual ID. Risk rises near the inner ring. The group does not want friendly jets inside the close-in weapon zones. The air boss and the strike group commander coordinate altitudes and lanes. Deconfliction holds. No friendly in front of a ship's nose. T-minus 2 minutes. The mid-layer fight begins. ESSM batteries on 2 escorts go ready. Fire control radars paint 3 inbound targets with solid returns. Shoot, shoot, look, orders the TAO, the tactical action officer, for the hardest tracks. 2 missiles per target. Time is now the key. The escorts ripple fire. In the same breath, the Growler shifts to tighter jamming on likely control links. If a human operator was steering, he now sees snow. If a preset course was loaded, it now runs blind into a changing picture. The carrier changes speed by a few knots and swings a few degrees. A small move can force a simple autopilot to miss the aim point. Meanwhile, a helicopter crew at low altitude calls a pop-up contact, which means a new target rose from behind a wave or a boat. It is very close to the inner ring. T-minus 1 minute. The cap calls 1 drone visual at low altitude. The pilot takes a radar lock and fires a short-range missile. He does not use the gun at night because depth and drift are risky. The missile leaves and tracks. It hits. The pilot breaks off to avoid the inner defenses. Back on the water, the closest escort sees a drone less than 5 miles. That is knife fight range at these speeds. C-RAM fires. The launcher spits a volley. The CIC hears the rapid call-outs. 1, 2, 3 intercepts. 2 drones break apart. 1 keeps coming, wounded but not dead. The TAO shifts 1 CIWS to cover. The gun spools and throws a wall of metal. The target fragments and falls short, but the splash is close enough to throw spray against the hull. T-minus 20 seconds. The carrier sets last-ditch defenses, not panic, procedure. The final layer is active. Another escort deploys a soft kill decoy. It creates a fake radio target. A simple seeker can be pulled off by that ghost. The Growler adds a short, sharp burst of spot jamming. The E-2D filters the clutter and calls 1 more pair still hot. The FAR destroyer takes a final ESSM shot at the lead of the pair. Time is almost gone. Weapons away. 5 seconds pass. Splash. 1 remains. The inner CIWS takes it. A burst, then another. The radar return fades. Metal falls. The last drone crashes into the sea, leaving foam and smoke. T+1 minute. The net goes quiet. No more inbound tracks. The E-2D does a long sweep to make sure. Escorts hold fire positions until the picture is clean. Damage control teams check decks and antennas. The carrier reports no hits. 1 escort has minor dings on a lifeline from debris. No casualties. The cap orbits while fuel allows. The Growler keeps a low-level jam for a few minutes to mask any late launches. The bridge returns to base course and speed. The air boss resumes the cycle. The strike group breathes, but only a little. Sensor crews replay the last 10 minutes. Magazine counts update. The TAO notes how many missiles left the rails. The commander notes how many threats died in each layer. The math matters. The team did not win by luck. It won by timing, by order, by the choice to start the kill chain early, and by the discipline to hold to the plan when the screen got messy. The incident is over. The lessons are just starting. This fight was about physics, signals, and time. The first edge was height. The E-2D flew high above the sea clutter. Its radar looked down and saw what ship radars could not. Low targets blend with waves. The sea throws back false dots. A high sensor sees the shape of motion across many scans. That builds a steadier track. A destroyer's phased array radar added speed. It refreshed the picture many times per second. Each sweep refined the course and altitude. Track continuity is life. If a track drops, you lose firing math. If it holds, you shoot with confidence. Data links made the many sensors act like one. Link 16 passed track files to every ship and plane. A system called cooperative engagement let a ship fire using another unit's eyes. That is the sensor shooter split. It shortens the kill chain. It also reduces blind spots. One radar may see a target in a notch that hides it from another radar. Sharing fills the gaps. Latency matters. If the track is old by even a few seconds, a small, fast drone moves far. The system timestamps every point. It rates track quality. The CIC picks shooters with the freshest data. That cuts misses. Electronic warfare shaped the roots of the attackers. The Growler carried pods that can jam wide bands or narrow lines. The crew chose where to pour noise based on the threat. Many one-way drones use GNSS, like GPS, for mid-course. Jam the satellites and their error grows. Some drones switch to inertial nav. That is a dead reckoning box. It drifts over time. A few meters of drift each minute becomes tens of meters by the end. If the carrier changes speed or course late, drift can cause a miss. Some drones have a data link to a human. The jammer puts snow on that link. Commands freeze. Video cuts. The operator loses control at the worst time. EW does not destroy the drone. It bends its path or dulls its aim. That turns a hit into a near miss. It also buys seconds. Weapons formed rings. Outer layer missiles like SM-2 or SM-6 reach far. They can hit higher, faster targets, but with good cueing and look angles, they can also kill low, small threats. The math is tight because small drones have low radar cross-section. The missile's seeker needs a clean handoff and stable track. That is why the early shots were few and deliberate. Each shot included guidance time, seeker time, and a window for fuse function. The mid-layer used ESSM. It is fast, agile, and built for low flyers. It launches quick. It turns hard. It fits quad-packed in a cell, which helps magazines. The inner layer was CRAM and CIWS. CRAM fires many small missiles. It does not need a separate fire control radar. It reacts fast. CIWS is a 20mm Gatling gun. It throws a dense burst to cut targets. It is last ditch for a reason. Fragments can still fall close, but it is better than a hit. Doctrine guided the trigger. Weapons Release Authority sat with the TAO under the commander's intent. The checklist starts with ID. Is it hostile, suspect, or unknown? In a swarm, you often go hostile by behavior. Low, inbound, no transponder, no response to warnings, coming from a known launch area. Next is pairing. Which shooter has the best geometry and magazine state? Aegis assigns this. Then firing policy. If time is tight or the target is tough, use shoot-shoot-look, 2 missiles at once. If time allows and the target is easier, use shoot-look-shoot, 1 assess, then re-engage. This saves rounds. It costs seconds. In a 15-drone raid, that trade is the heart of the fight. Save enough to kill the back half. Spend enough to stop the front half. Fuel and reloads shape choices as well. Fighters burn fuel on cap. Every push down to lower altitude costs more. Tanker plans and deck cycles limit how long the cap can remain on station. Missiles in the vertical launch cells are finite until the next port or underway replenishment. ESSM helps because 4 fit where 1 larger missile fits. But numbers still drop fast in a raid. CIWS has drums that need reload crews. CRAM carries a set canister count. The CIC tracks inventory in real time. The TAO calls mag state after salvos. That prevents a late surprise where a ship thinks it has more than it does. Soft kill systems reduce shots. Nulka-like decoys launch and create a fake target in the radio spectrum. Some seekers choose that ghost. A ship may also fire chaff to create a radar cloud. Decoys do not always fool a simple drone, but they can pull a seeker just far enough. Even a few degrees of aim error can move the impact point by hundreds of feet at the last second. Combine that with a small course change by the carrier, and a hit becomes a miss. Risk controls run in parallel. The air picture must be clean. Friendly aircraft must stay out of ship engagement zones. Altitude blocks and headings prevent blue-on-blue. The ROE demands positive control. The bridge also watches the sea lanes. Merchant ships get safety calls. The group broadcasts warnings on guard channels. Clear intent reduces claims later. A log records each shot with time, track, and reason. In sum, the defense worked by stacking small advantages. Height gave detection, links gave unity, jamming bent paths. Missiles thinned the raid. Guns cleaned the leaks. Doctrine kept hands steady. Timing was the hinge. Start too late, and the inner layer drowns. Start too early, and the magazine empties. The team found the middle and held it. The shooting stopped at T+1 minute. The radar picture stayed clean for 5 more. The E-2D searched the sector and called no new tracks. The commander kept the strike group at general quarters for an hour. This was caution, not fear. Damage control walked every deck. Antenna checks came back green. Fuel and ordnance reports were filed. The carrier had no hits, no fires, no flooding. One escort showed chipped lifelines and a dented panel from fragments. No injuries. Flight operations resumed on a tight cycle. The air wing kept 1 cap on station and 1 alert on deck. The group held formation and maintained steerage for wind over the deck. The tally told the story. 15 hostile drones entered the fight window. 2 more contacts were later logged as false returns, likely decoys or clutter. Outer layer missiles killed 4 at long range. Mid-layer ESSM took 6. Fighters downed 1 with a short-range shot. Inner defenses removed the rest, 2 by CRAM, 2 by CIWS. Soft kill decoys likely pulled at least 1 seeker wide. Post-mission analysis marked a sudden bearing drift on that track. Jamming degraded several guidance loops. Telemetry showed erratic speed and small altitude swings consistent with GNSS denial. The pattern was clear. Early shots trimmed the raid. The middle kept pressure. The inner cleaned leaks. No single layer won alone. The stack won together. Magazine math stayed within plan. The group used under 30% of its ESSM on-hand inventory. Long-range interceptors fired was in the single digits. CRAM spent 1/4 of a canister. 2 CIWS drums needed partial reloads. Cap fuel states stayed healthy. No tankers were required. By the end of the hour, the commander rated the force able to fight a second wave, with caution on mid-layer stocks. This mattered as much as the kill count. Adversaries often probe again after a defense spends rounds. The log recorded not just shots taken, but shots kept. Endurance is a signal. The cost exchange looked harsh on paper. The attackers likely spent tens of thousands per drone. The defenders used missiles that cost far more. That is the hard math of air defense. But cost is not the mission metric. Mission success is. The carrier stayed on station. The sea lane stayed open. No civilian ship was harmed. Insurance advisories did not change. Convoys kept schedules. In strategic terms, the raid failed to shape the narrative. It did not force a withdrawal. It did not deny air operations. It did not raise risk for commercial traffic enough to matter. Layered defense held its ground. Signals followed fast. Higher command received a brief with time, bearing, count, shots, results, and damage status. Allies got a summary for shared situational awareness. Merchant traffic received an updated notice to mariners. The tone stayed exact and calm. No boasts, no dramatic claims. Facts lower the chance of rash moves by others. Facts also build trust with partners who share the route. The message was simple. Presence continues and defenses work. The debrief began before dawn. Teams replayed voice logs and radar captures. They mapped when each layer fired and why. 2 issues were flagged. First, mid-range false tracks complicated sorting. The fix is better filter tuning and stricter sensor handoffs between air and surface radars. Second, a close pop-up near the inner ring arrived with short warning. The plan is to widen the helicopter sweep by a few miles, adjust altitude blocks, and add an infrared cross-cue at set intervals. Training events were scheduled inside 48 hours. Doctrine notes were updated to lock in timing, shooter pairing, and jam plans. The outcome was plain. Freedom of navigation held. The carrier kept combat power. The crew learned, logged, and moved on. In a drone age, this is what victory looks like. Steady hands, clear math, and time bought back from the clock. This fight was not a movie scene. It was a test of simple rules under stress. Drones forced speed. The crew answered with order. The carrier did not win because it is big or expensive. It won because the team kept the layers tight and the timeline under control. This is the lesson for the drone age. Masked, cheap threats will come again. They do not need perfect guidance to be dangerous. They only need to arrive fast and together. The answer is a calm chain. See early, share fast, choose once, and fire on time. Height gives early warning. Links turn many sensors into one brain. Jamming bends paths. Missiles clear the front, guns clean the last leaks. Each piece alone is weak. Together, they hold. Some say the era of carriers is over. Missiles and drones make the sea too hot. That claim ignores what carriers actually do. They do not fight alone. They are hubs. Fighters extend the outer ring. Growlers shape the air. Helicopters find pop-ups. The carrier gives endurance to all of them. It offers fuel, repairs, and command. In short, it gives options. In war, options are life. Yes, the threat has grown. Swarms, cruise missiles, and ballistic weapons demand new moves. But defense evolves too. Better radars cut clutter. Smarter decoys fool seekers. Faster missiles and improved guns close gaps. Doctrine adapts. Training speeds up decisions. The game does not end. It shifts. The human factor still decides outcomes. Machines sense and shoot, but people pick the plan. In the CIC, voices stayed steady. They matched weapons to targets. They watched magazines. They kept friendly jets outside kill arcs. They weighed seconds against inventory. That judgment is not in a chip. It is in training, drills, and culture. Every checklist line exists for a reason written in sweat. When the screen grew messy, the crew did not chase ghosts. They trusted the picture that was clean and ignored the noise. That is hard to do at night with alarms in your ears. It is what won the hour. The larger message is clear. Swarms are here to stay. They will get faster. They will network. They will try to blind and confuse. So must defense. More sensors aloft. Tighter links. Cheaper interceptors to fix the cost curve. Smarter soft kill to save rounds. And always, a team that drills the basics until they are muscle memory. In the end, the sea does not care about theories. It rewards ships that keep order under pressure. This strike group did. That is why a $15 billion ship saw dawn with jets still flying and a wake still white behind her.